Hello and welcome back to the She Is Me conference. It is 11 a.m. Pacific time, and we are so fortunate to have Larkin Chumley with us today from My Powerful Choices. Larkin, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I am so honored and excited to be here today. And I want to start off by sharing my journey as to how I got sitting right here with you today. At 17 years old, I found myself on my knees in my bedroom, hands in my face. I felt like the floor was falling out from underneath me. I had had my first big heartbreak. Little did I know, a part of me died that day. It all started because I wasn't allowed to let this first love of my life into my parents' house. My parents, being the best-hearted people you could ever meet, they'd give their shirt off their back to everyone. They were both teachers, both very spiritually oriented, gave my sister and I everything they possibly could. But in sacrifice of that came our house. They really weren't able to maintain it very well, and they made me promise not to let anyone in. So at 17, here I stood with a boy that was love at first sight at 13, telling me that he didn't think I trusted him because I still wouldn't let him even see my bedroom. Well, I thought, oh, things will get better. Fast forward 10 years, I find myself pretty much out on the street, if my parents hadn't taken me in, with 3 dogs and a cat. Again, at the core of all of this was lack of money. I had worked for this person and his overseas company for over 4 years without pay because I thought, well, hey, he's paying for everything and I wanted to work, and they were not allowed to hire another person to work out of the country. So I said, no worries, I'll just work for you for free. So I took on about $100,000 job for free. Well, when the breakup came, guess what? I had 7 years of nothing on my resume. I had not a penny to my name because I'd given him my money and my investment money. And again, at the core of this complete agony and helplessness and feeling so awful about myself was lack of money. Well, you'd think I'd learn, right? Fast forward 7 more years, and I'm out on the street again. I had a landlady who decided to not cash my rent checks and intentionally cash me out and set me up for eviction. I'd paid everything, but by this point, I was working 7 to 10 jobs, even with a degree. I'd been cleaning houses for 10 years, and I absolutely hated it because what was my passion? My passion was to teach people manifesting, to teach people transformation, to take the spiritual gifts and guidance that I had and actually be able to make a living out of it. And yet, I had spent the last 7 years up all night crying, fussing over my checkbook, praying to God that I was going to get a client the next day for my readings. And third time's a charm, right? There were 2 common denominators here that caused my constant over 2 decades of struggle and suffering. The first common denominator was me. Obviously, there was something I was doing. I mean, I wasn't the ugliest person around. I wasn't the stupidest person around. I had an education and I loved myself, but I didn't have the confidence to charge what I was worth, and I didn't understand money. So the second common denominator was my lack of money. I literally repelled money. If I would get an extra job or extra money coming in, within less than 24 hours, some sort of emergency would pop up. I had moved back from Scotland where I worked overseas, and I needed 3 root canals. I even filed bankruptcy on $10,000 to stop my debt from going to $50,000. In other words, my life was complete hell. Now, maybe for some of you, you're thinking, that's not hell. You're not talking about losing a person or losing a child or having a death, illness. But you know what? It was hell, because every moment of every day, I was terrified. I was terrified that I was going to be in pain and not have the money to pay for whatever I needed. I was terrified that I was not going to be able to take my dogs to the vet. I was terrified that my landlady was going to come over and boot me out, or that I was going to, have harassment calls from collection agencies. I was terrified that I wasn't going to be able to find oil for my heater. There was so much humiliation under this, right? And deep inside there was this little belief that was keeping me from actually doing anything with my business. And that belief was that money and spirituality were mutually exclusive. Was that if I was going to actually make money, I was going to have to be salesy. And here's the thing I find very common with most of my clients, and this was true of me. I literally expected people to just be like, hey, I want to work with you. I'll pay you this much. I need your help. You're exactly what I'm looking for. Well, when you've gone 2 decades and that's not happening, and you don't realize that no one even knows you exist, it sort of changes your perspective a little. So when I was on the street for the second time and in my parents' house, again, this time with 4 cats and 3 dogs, I thought, okay, something's got to change, right? That was like my pit moment. And it was an inner breakthrough I had. And from that, then I had to create an outer breakthrough. And by that, I mean I had to start creating some tangible changes in my life. You see, I had run nonprofits since I was in 8th grade, and I could sell anybody. I could go into P&G, and I could go into IBM, and I could get them to donate funds for these international nonprofits that I was running. I helped the founder of Earth Day start and found Earth Day. I was his international MC. And I could sell anybody on any of these ideas or fundraising. But when it came to me, I had trouble even accepting a gift from somebody. Fast forward, we're sitting here now. There are some incredible things that happened in my journey that have led me to be able to work with you. First of all, my best friend had brought for me The Secret, the DVD of The Secret, which absolutely changed my life. Yes, it's kind of shallow and it only scratches the surface, but it validated something I always believed and hadn't yet found out. And I hadn't found anyone who taught it yet. And that was the power of our mind. Our ability to not live in reaction to what we think is happening to us, but to actually harness the power of our mind and become conscious creators, right? You see, the law of attraction says like attracts like, but what's really happening is you have your eternal conscious self, and then you have your mind, right? And you have your brain. Now, your brain obviously allows your body to function. It allows you to speak and do language, learn languages, right? It allows you to make survival judgments. And that brain has not changed in over 10,000 years because it's there to help us survive, right? So you've got your brain here, and you've got your conscious, your eternal consciousness that is you, that holds all the wisdom of the universe right here. But in the middle of that is your mind. That's what Eckhart Tolle calls also your ego, your thoughts, right? Your mind was meant to be a tool for your consciousness so that you could be a conscious creator. And for most of us, we allow our minds to run our life. I did this for most of my life because less than 5% of people on the planet actually know how to use their mind as a tool. We become prisoners of it, prisoners of our limiting beliefs, our limiting self-concepts, and our limiting ideas of our place in the world. Well, I had been a victim of this for a very long time. And this is how I ended up in the pit of despair when it came to having no money. Now, some of you out there may be comfortable with money and you just want to scale money, or you want to get over that hump of believing that money and spirituality are mutually exclusive. Some of you might be like I was for over 2 decades and literally repel money, right? Well, here's the thing. I want to tell you today that no matter where you are with your relationship with money and abundance, you can completely transform it. And it doesn't have to take 2 decades. For me, it took over 17 years, right? And so now what I offer my coaching clients is all those things that I learned over 17 years, my struggles, my falling flat on my face, the mistakes I learned, all the money I invested in learning how to have a healthy relationship with money in abundance. So I want each and every one of you to know, and if you leave here with nothing else, you can, no matter where you are right now, change your relationship with money in abundance. But it starts with changing your relationship with money in abundance. So let me first clarify something that I share with everyone. Every Wednesday at 1 or 1:30, I have a live broadcast called the Money and Abundance Training. Okay? And during that broadcast, I want you guys to understand the difference between money and abundance. Dr. Wayne Dyer said that abundance is a frequency you shift into. So actually, anything you want and everything you want falls under that umbrella of abundance. Love, peace, fulfillment, success, which means living life on your terms, and money, wealth and prosperity, right? Even freedom falls under that category of abundance, right? That frequency of abundance. When you are aligned with abundance, you are aligned with your higher self, right? Abraham Hicks refers to it as your vortex, and I love that, excuse me. But when we are in alignment with who and what we truly are authentically, we feel peace, we feel joy, we feel fulfillment, okay? We are able to attract and manifest easily whatever we desire. When we are out of alignment with that, we might, have an experience of lack of finances, lack of love, struggling and suffering in all the different ways you can think of. It's not punishment. It's simply that we're out of alignment. And we're being shown when we feel that way, hey, you're out of alignment, right? You're not in your vortex. So those feelings, those experiences are messengers. One of the things that I hear a lot when it comes to money is that money and spirituality is mutually exclusive. And so many of my entrepreneur clients are spiritual or conscious-based people who have spiritual professions, right? Maybe they're readers, maybe they're healers, maybe they create, intuitive or spiritual art or music. And they believe that they should not be charging for their services. I hope today to change that perspective for you. I want to give you an entirely new way of looking at money. It transformed my life, and it has allowed me to be where I am with you right now. And I know that it can transform yours as well. You see, money isn't that paper stuff. It's not the credit cards, and it's not the coins. You create your own money, and it is actually created in here, and it is created by your frequency, okay? Your beliefs. You create your money in here by what you believe. So whatever you believe is true. Now let me share with you first what a belief actually is. A belief is just repeated thoughts, nothing else. So given a little bit of time, you can completely transform your beliefs. And that means your beliefs about money. But money goes deeper than that. Money represents an exchange of value. And it actually exists in non-physical. It exists in the spiritual world as well, but not as money. It is the universe's natural way of making everything equal. So, for example, when I am bringing on clients that are wanting to make money for their business, one of the first things I learned and that they learn is as you invest mentally, emotionally, energetically, and financially, you will get that in return, right? Because entrepreneur literally means one who invests in her or his self in order to create money, right? And so we must learn to invest in ourselves in whatever areas we want to gain returns. And this includes money. So if you think about and you look down your own list of things, maybe things that might, block your money from coming in, ask yourself, well, do I tend to hold on to money real tight like this? Or how do I spend my money? I'm going to give you an example of this. I had a client on a sales call about 5 years ago. His wife had worked with me and she wanted him to work with me too. And he had a business. And when we got to the end of the call, he decided no, he couldn't afford to invest in himself in scaling his business. But you know what? The very next week, he went out and bought a $50,000 truck. So we have a $5,000 investment that he could have scaled to, quadruple his business within a year, or go out and buy a $50,000 truck that he's going to drive off the lot and it's going to immediately lose its value. Well, guess what? Within less than a month, that truck was in an accident. Okay? So I want you to just let that sink in for a minute. In order to acquire wealth and prosperity, we have to actually invest, and we have to invest in ourselves. We're often taught in today's society things that have been passed on for many generations, right? Maybe our great-great-great-grandfathers even, that money and spirituality are mutually exclusive, that if you have money, you're a bad person. One of the ones I've heard recently is if you're a millionaire or a billionaire, that means that you have taken advantage of people and you use them. Okay? And we have all these belief systems. And then we have individual belief systems, such as, well, no one around me has money. So as soon as I have money, I'm either afraid of losing it. Ask yourselves, guys, if any of these are you. Afraid of losing the money, afraid of being criticized or judged by other people, that maybe you're not a good person now that you have money, or maybe you're snooty and snobby or think you're better because you have money. Maybe you're afraid of losing friends, or maybe you're afraid people are going to ask you for money and you don't know how to say no, right? So these are just a handful of the limiting beliefs that people have about money. But let me digress for a second and tell you why I am so passionate about helping women especially learn to create wealth, prosperity, and financial freedom and live abundant lives. Okay? Go back and think about the story I just shared with you. There came a point in my life where I realized that unless I had my own money, I was losing freedom and I was losing my powers of choice. Okay? And what that meant was that I finally realized that money it's not going to solve all your problems, but it was the key to my problems. Because lack of money was what had always held me back. My visions and dreams are huge. I want to donate to animal rescue, and I want to help people, and I want to travel and teach. I want to expand my businesses and serve women on a greater scale. And you know what? And I want you guys to think about this in reference to yourselves. I couldn't do that if I was spending 24/7 worrying about and struggling for money. Right? I had to step into my own power. I had to learn how to become a money magnet, not just manifest money to be comfortable, but actually learn to magnetize money. And that all started, anything you want to manifest starts in here. I had to completely rewire my brain. I had to rewire my thinking, my beliefs, and where you are right now is the result of your habits of thinking, feeling, choices, and action, right? Thinking, feeling, choices, and action. So I had to rewire all of those for myself. And boy, it didn't seem like it was working. But one of the things is that you have to create habits in order to start seeing results. You have to make the uncomfortable comfortable and the unfamiliar familiar. I had to do it, and you can do it too. So I want you to think about for a moment, what are your self-limiting beliefs about money? Do you have something that you love to do, that you want to create? Maybe it's a hobby right now, but it's something that you would like to have as a business so that you can make money, earn a living, or maybe even become financially free doing what it is that you love, what you're passionate about, maybe what your gifts are, I want you to know that that is absolutely possible. The number one thing that stops people from getting there is fear of getting out of their comfort zone. In my opinion, becoming an entrepreneur is the absolute perfect way to learn to master your mind and step into your power, because you have to step into that greater version of yourself. So let me share with you a concept that's going to make it really easy to decide where you are. Because in order to know how to get where you want to go, you have to know where you are, right? If I'm going to say to my husband, hey, I want to go on my dream vacation, and he says to me, great, what's your dream vacation? And I don't know where that is or what it looks like, how are we going to make that happen, right? If we're going to fly there, I have to know in order to buy the right tickets to the right destination. If we're going to drive there, I have to be able to put it in the GPS. Don't I need to be able to know how to pack and what to take, right? So think about that right now in reference to yourselves. What would your ideal money and abundance situation be? What does your abundant life look like? Think about that just for a moment. If you're right here, but your vision is here, right? You have to somehow be able to close that gap. For me, my dream and vision was here, and it required a lot more money than where I was and what my mindset was. Your mindset, your frequency has to match your dream and vision. If you don't have one, that's where you need to start. You need to start asking yourself, what if, right? So think about this for a moment. Just take a moment and use your imagination, because imagination is one of those things that is greatly underrated. If you can imagine it, you can manifest it, right? So what would a day in your life look like if you were no longer worrying about money? If you were no longer struggling with money? If you could wake up in the morning and instead of going to your daily grind or working 2 extra jobs, what would that look like? And more importantly, what would that feel like to you? This is where you have to start. And then you have to start getting really clear about what that looks like and make the choice. In other words, not, I hope this happens, I wish this happens, I pray that this happens. Not that those things aren't good, but to actually make a choice and say, I choose this. You have that power. This is going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen, because you don't need to know the how, but this is what I want. This is my intention, okay? Learning to take a want, discover when it's a desire, which means it's something you really want. It's really connected to your authentic self. And then take that desire and make it an intention, right? I can want a chocolate chip cookie, and I can sit on the couch and want it all day long. But until I make it an intention in my mind and I decide I'm going to go get that cookie, I won't be getting off the couch to go in the kitchen to get the cookie, right? So I want you to begin thinking about this when you think about your vision, the vision of your life. And here I'm going to share with you the concepts of wealthy and poor mindset, okay? If I were to say to you, pick up a puppy and say to you, I love this puppy so much. Oh, I just love this puppy. It means so much to me. You'd probably smile and have warm, fuzzy feelings. But if I were to pick up a handful of money, right? Remember, money, credit cards, coins, those just represent the energy of money, because money is just energy. But if I was to pick up one of these representations of money and hold it close to me and say, I love money so much, it's such an important part of my life, how would you think of me at that point? How would you feel? Would you be looking at me going, ew, she loves money? That's evil, right? It's not the money I love. I love money because it gives me the empowerment and the freedom of choice to choose to help others. Not by just giving them money, but by also showing them how to make their own money. By showing them how to heal their money wounds and their self-limiting beliefs of money and create a healthy relationship with money. I love money because it gives me freedom to make more choices, and it gives me freedom of time. You can always get more money. You can never get more time, right? The most valuable thing we have is time. And we are raised in our society to trade our time for money. And the truth of the matter is, if you have a single job or you're working paycheck to paycheck, you will never be wealthy, right? There are different ways in which you have to create a relationship with money and learn to use money to create more money in order to create that freedom. And I want to share with you some of the ways it has transformed my life, right? I can now give donations to animal charities that before I used to just sit back and cry about, because I'm such an empath and I'm an animal communicator and there was nothing I could do to help those animals. I felt helpless, right? So that helps me feel empowered instead. I have the security and the peace of mind knowing I can take care of my family and my animals as well. It allows me the free time to hire other people to help me build my business. So guess what? I can serve more women and I can serve them at a higher level, right? I could not do that without money. Money is just a tool, okay? And it is a tool that you have to learn to create the art of manifesting. And it all starts with learning how to manifest. So I want you to go, when you leave here today, think about, do you have a wealthy mindset or a poor mindset? A wealthy mindset, or let's start with a poor one. A poor mindset is, I could never have that money. I wasn't born into money. Money doesn't grow on trees. All these beliefs you've picked up from former generations and your misery loves company crowd, right? It's too hard. I can't charge for money. I don't feel right. Okay, so learn to change how you feel, right? It's also not just about money. A poor money mindset is also things like, oh, I have to choose this or this. That's just my luck. A wealthy mindset is learning to step into your power, using the I am phrases. I am powerful. I am wealthy. I am worthy and deserving. Beginning to really find your value, because when you really truly believe in your value and the value of your services, you will not only be able to make a living and create financial freedom out of your passions and your purpose, but you will also be able to have those people that need you and really need and want your services and value you, they will be attracted to you like a magnet. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. But if you get a coach or a mentor to help you with the mindset work and the manifesting work and the creating money work, all three things, then you are going to cut down your time and your struggle so much. So we're going to be closing up here in about a minute and a half. I want to invite each one of you to visit my website, which I actually need to update. And even better, visit my Powerful Choices Awareness Network page on Facebook. I have a live money and abundance training every week. Every month, I have a money magnet accelerator that you can get a gifted spot for. I have several coaching programs, especially to help women overcome their struggle with money and abundance. And I want to leave you guys with this thought, because this is my passion, okay? You want to have your big why. My big why is that I see where so many good-hearted women, spiritual, conscious women, we are the ones that usually end up with no money, crying our hearts out, right? Because we're trying to be good-hearted. And my passion is to step out and help those women learn to create wealth, prosperity, and financial freedom so that you have the freedom to make the world a better place, to live and truly create with joy, make other people's pathways easier because you're walking that path. And for each of us that does that and we break through the energetic barrier of money and become true, powerful, conscious creators, we not only can make the world a better place with our dreams and visions, but we also make it easier for the women that come after us. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. I'd love to answer any of your questions. And Lisa, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this amazing and powerful women's event. Bye, everyone.
Larkin, thank you so much. Wow, that was so powerful. So powerful. And I agree with you and have spoken to so many women about this same issue, that when we have these gifts, we are just not, we feel like we can't charge for them, right? We can't, like, how could we charge for something that is just been given to us naturally? We didn't work hard for it. I think that might be part of it too. There's no struggle behind it, right?
Yes, a huge belief barrier. Yes.
So thank you, Larkin. Stay on with me, and we are going to sign off. We'll be back at noon Pacific, and we've got Sarah Garrison on next. So join us at 12 o'clock, and we'll see you soon.